The Meridian Empire's first contact with humanity came not with the expected fanfare of a historic moment, but with the calculated precision of a civilization that had performed this dance countless times before. Their massive ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline architecture catching the distant sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Earth's combined fleet maintained their defensive positions, a mix of anticipation and apprehension rippling through every crew member. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the EDF Artemis, her weathered features illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding her command station. 25 years of service had prepared her for many things, but first contact with an advanced alien civilization wasn't one of them. The Empire's ship dwarfed their largest vessels, making Earth's most impressive warships look like tugboats in comparison. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Admiral Lieutenant Rivera reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. Translation matrix is processing. It's a greeting, but there's something odd about the syntax. The message that followed would later be recognized as the Empire's standard first contact protocol, a carefully crafted combination of diplomatic overtures and subtle dominance assertions. The Meridians, as they called themselves, spoke of peace and cultural exchange, while their ship's weapon systems remained conspicuously active. "Return greeting, standard diplomatic package," Chen ordered, her voice steadied despite the gravity of the moment. "But keep our defensive grid powered. Something doesn't feel right about this." The initial meetings that followed seemed promising on the surface. The Meridian delegation, led by High Executor Vaxthor, presented themselves as representatives of a benevolent empire spanning thousands of star systems. They offered technology, trade routes, and protection, all in exchange for Earth joining their collective of civilizations. Dr. James Kimathi, Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, was the first to notice the warning signs. During a private briefing with the United Earth Council, he laid out his concerns. Their entire diplomatic approach follows a pattern we've seen in our own history. They're not looking for allies. They're looking for vassals. His words proved prophetic when reports began filtering in from Earth's outer colonies. Meridian ships had already been spotted in multiple systems, conducting what they called standard resource surveys. These surveys, however, seemed suspiciously focused on human military installations and defensive capabilities. The situation deteriorated rapidly over the next 6 months. The Meridian Empire's true nature revealed itself not through grand proclamations or overt hostility, but through 1,000 small acts of encroachment. Their ships began appearing unannounced in human space, citing navigational errors. Colonial shipping routes were disrupted by routine Imperial patrols. Research stations reported unusual scanning activities from passing Meridian vessels. Admiral Chen, now heading the newly formed Defensive Operations Command, watched the pattern emerge with growing concern. "They're testing us," she told the Council during an emergency session. "Every incursion, every violation of our sovereignty, they're gauging our response, looking for weaknesses." The breaking point came at Europa Station. What started as another routine inspection by Meridian forces turned into a forceful attempt to access restricted research facilities. Station Security Chief Marcus Wong's response would later be credited with preventing a diplomatic catastrophe and revealing the Empire's true intentions. "With all due respect, Executor," Wong's recorded message spread across human space, "but your inspection authority ends at our airlock. Any attempt to breach this facility will be considered an act of aggression." The Meridians withdrew, but the message was clear. Within hours, similar incidents were reported across human space. The Empire had been systematically probing humanity's defenses, gathering intelligence, and preparing for something more sinister. In response, the United Earth Council activated Protocol Omega, a contingency plan developed in secret since first contact. Admiral Chen found herself at the heart of it, overseeing the quiet mobilization of Earth's true military capabilities. "They think they know what we're capable of," she told her senior staff, studying the holographic display of known Meridian fleet movements. "They've seen our official forces, measured our visible defenses. But humanity learned long ago to keep an ace up its sleeve. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in facilities unknown even to most of Earth's leadership, the fruits of decades of classified research began stirring to life. Quantum processors spun up, experimental weapon systems came online, and ships that officially didn't exist prepared for deployment. Dr. Kamethi, working closely with military intelligence, pieced together the Empire's likely next moves. They follow a predictable pattern with emerging civilizations. First comes the diplomatic approach, then economic pressure, followed by military demonstrations. They're about to enter the third phase, and they expect us to fold like all the others. But humanity had no intention of following the Empire's script. As Meridian forces began massing at the edges of human space, Earth prepared its response. Not with grand declarations or threats, but with quiet determination. Admiral Chen stood before the Combined Fleet Command, her expression grave but resolved. The Meridian Empire believes they understand humanity. They've studied our official capabilities, analyzed our visible technology, and concluded we're just another primitive species to be absorbed into their empire. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The next transmission to the Meridian Empire was brief, encoded in their own diplomatic protocols, and carried a weight that would soon shake the foundations of their dominion. To the esteemed leadership of the Meridian Empire, Earth and her colonies are not available for absorption. Consider this a binding response to your ongoing overtures. Further attempts at coercion will be met with appropriate measures. We trust this message finds you in good health and wise judgment. The Empire's response never came. Instead, their actions in the following days would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. But as tension mounted and humanity prepared for the inevitable conflict, one thing became clear. The Meridian Empire had made a crucial mistake in their calculations. They had assumed humanity would react like all the other species they had encountered. They had not considered that Earth's experience with conflict, its history of resistance against oppression, and its technological innovations born from necessity rather than luxury, had created something unique in the galaxy. The stage was set for a confrontation that would teach the Empire a lesson it would never forget. Earth was not merely another world to be added to their collection. It was humanity's home, and humanity had learned long ago to protect what was theirs. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in facilities unknown even to most of Earth's leadership, the fruits of decades of classified research began stirring to life. Quantum processors spun up, experimental weapon systems came online, and ships that officially didn't exist prepared for deployment. Dr. Kamethi, working closely with military intelligence, pieced together the Empire's likely next moves. They follow a predictable pattern with emerging civilizations. First comes the diplomatic approach, then economic pressure, followed by military demonstrations. They're about to enter the third phase, and they expect us to fold like all the others. But humanity had no intention of following the Empire's script. As Meridian forces began massing at the edges of human space, Earth prepared its response. Not with grand declarations or threats, but with quiet determination. Admiral Chen stood before the Combined Fleet Command, her expression grave but resolved. The Meridian Empire believes they understand humanity. They've studied our official capabilities, analyzed our visible technology, and concluded we're just another primitive species to be absorbed into their empire. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The next transmission to the Meridian Empire was brief, encoded in their own diplomatic protocols, and carried a weight that would soon shake the foundations of their dominion. To the esteemed leadership of the Meridian Empire, Earth and her colonies are not available for absorption. Consider this a binding response to your ongoing overtures. Further attempts at coercion will be met with appropriate measures. We trust this message finds you in good health and wise judgment. The Empire's response never came. Instead, their actions in the following days would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. But as tension mounted and humanity prepared for the inevitable conflict, one thing became clear. The Meridian Empire had made a crucial mistake in their calculations. They had assumed humanity would react like all the other species they had encountered. They had not considered that Earth's experience with conflict, its history of resistance against oppression, and its technological innovations born from necessity rather than luxury, had created something unique in the galaxy. Vaxthor watched in growing horror as his fleet's formation began to crumble. "Impossible," he whispered, watching another cruiser disappear in a cascade of quantum-induced chain reactions. They were supposed to be primitives. Director Rodriguez's voice cut through all Imperial communication channels, her message clear and deliberate. "This is humanity's only warning. Your intelligence about our capabilities was flawed. Your assumptions about our technology were wrong. You have 1 hour to withdraw your forces from Mars space. After that, we will respond with full defensive measures." The Empire's response came in the form of a desperate, all-out assault. Exactly as humanity's strategic AI had predicted, it was their standard response when challenged: escalate overwhelmingly to crush any sign of resistance. But this time, against an opponent they fundamentally didn't understand, it proved disastrous. The quantum defense grid around Mars fully activated, creating a maze of spatial distortions that trapped Imperial ships in a web of their own making. Human vessels, equipped with technology specifically designed to navigate these distortions, systematically dismantled the Empire's attack force. Admiral Chen watched the Imperial fleet's collapse with grim satisfaction. "Transmit to all Earth forces. Operation Looking Glass is now in effect. The Empire has made their choice. Now they deal with the consequences." As the remaining Imperial ships retreated in disarray, humanity's true defensive capabilities were finally revealed to the galaxy. The message was clear: Earth and its colonies were not the primitive backwater the Empire had assumed. They were something far more dangerous, an advanced civilization that had deliberately hidden its true capabilities, preparing for the day when they would be needed. Vaxthor's final transmission before his flagship jumped to hyperspace would become famous throughout human space. "What manner of species shows restraint not from weakness, but from wisdom? What kind of civilization builds in secret not out of fear, but foresight?" The answer, as the Empire was beginning to learn, was humanity. And this was only the beginning of their education. In the aftermath of the Mars defense, Earth's military command initiated what had long been known in classified circles as Operation Earthshield. Admiral Chen stood before the holographic war room deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, addressing leaders from every human colony and military branch. The room hummed with tension and purpose as three-dimensional tactical displays showed the positions of both human and Imperial forces across known space. The Empire made a critical error in assuming our technological development followed their standard models. Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of decades of preparation. "Now we show them exactly how wrong they were." The quantum defense network that had protected Mars was just the tip of the spear. For decades, humanity had been developing technologies that purposely appeared primitive on standard Imperial scans. What looked like simple fusion reactors contained quantum cores that could manipulate spacetime itself. Conventional shield generators masked gravity manipulation systems that could redirect energy weapons back at their sources. Dr. Kamethi's hologram flickered as he addressed the assembly. "The Empire's entire strategic doctrine is based on technological superiority. They've never encountered a species that deliberately masked its capabilities. Their response will be predictable. They'll attempt to overwhelm us with numbers, assuming our Mars defense was our only hidden advantage." They didn't have to wait long. Imperial battle groups began emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their numbers far exceeding anything seen in the Mars engagement. High Command counted over 3,000 ships, led by the Empire's prestigious First Strike Fleet. Supreme Commander Zira Rex of the Empire personally led the assault, her message broadcast across all frequencies. "Your resistance at Mars was impressive, humans, but it ends now. Submit to Imperial authority, or face annihilation." Earth's response came not in words, but in action. Operation Earthshield's first phase activated as Imperial ships crossed the Kuiper Belt. Quantum beacons hidden on comets and asteroids throughout the solar system suddenly activated, creating a vast web of interconnected spatial distortions. Commander Maya Patel, now coordinating the combined fleet's tactical response, watched as Imperial ships began struggling against invisible currents in space. "They're trying to compensate for the quantum wake effects," she reported. Exactly as predicted, the Empire's massive fleet found itself fighting not just against human forces, but against space itself. Carefully calculated quantum fields created zones where faster-than-light travel became impossible, trapping Imperial ships in normal SPAC. Other areas multiplied the energy cost of movement exponentially, turning simple maneuvers into fuel-draining ordeals. Director Rodriguez, coordinating from Mars, initiated the second phase. Hidden facilities across the solar system revealed their true nature as massive quantum accelerators activated, creating corridors of manipulated spacetime that human ships could navigate freely. The battle that followed redefined space warfare. Human vessels, seemingly appearing from nowhere, struck at Imperial formations with devastating precision. Quantum-tipped torpedoes phased through standard Imperial shields as if they weren't there. Focused gravity beams turned the Empire's own massive ships into weapons, their sudden course changes throwing entire formations into chaos. Supreme Commander Zira Rex watched in mounting horror as her carefully planned assault disintegrated into chaos. "Impossible," she broadcast to her command staff. "Their technology. It violates every principle we know." That was precisely the point. Human technological development had taken a fundamentally different path from the Empire's. While Imperial science focused on brute force and energy manipulation, humanity had delved into the stranger possibilities of quantum mechanics and space-time manipulation. The turning point came when the Empire attempted to bring their super dreadnought, the Pride of Meridian, into the battle. As the massive vessel emerged from hyperspace, it found itself caught in a carefully prepared trap. Multiple quantum field generators activated simultaneously, creating a cascade effect that the Empire's scientists had thought impossible. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos of battle. "Now, Commander Patel, show them our full capabilities." The Pride of Meridian, the Empire's most powerful warship, found itself trapped in a bubble of warped space-time. Human ships, moving through quantum corridors that bypassed normal space, struck from multiple angles simultaneously. The Empire's flagship, supposedly invincible, was systematically dismantled by weapons that its designers had never imagined possible. As the Pride of Meridian's quantum core began to destabilize, Supreme Commander Zira Rex finally understood the true magnitude of the Empire's miscalculation. These weren't just hidden weapons or secret technology. This was an entirely different approach to warfare, one that the Empire's doctrine had never considered. The battle ended not with a decisive strike, but with a cascading retreat as Imperial ships fled through the few remaining stable corridors of space. Behind them, they left a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered assumptions about humanity's capabilities. Admiral Chen's final message to the retreating Imperial forces was deliberately brief. "Let this serve as a demonstration. Earth and her colonies are not your subjects. We are not your vassals. We are humanity, and we have prepared for this day for longer than you can imagine." In the aftermath, as human forces secured the solar system, Dr. Kimethi made an observation that would prove prophetic. The Empire's greatest weakness wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their inability to imagine that another civilization might develop along completely different lines. They expected us to be like them, and that was their downfall. Operation Earthshield had succeeded beyond even its planners' expectations. But as humanity celebrated their victory, Admiral Chen and her staff were already preparing for what would come next. The Empire had been bloodied but not broken, and their response would determine whether this was the end of the conflict or just the beginning. The decision to take the fight to Imperial space wasn't made lightly. 3 weeks after Operation Earthshield's success, Earth's combined military council gathered in the underwater command center to plan humanity's next move. The holographic displays showed the full extent of Imperial territory, vast, but not insurmountable. Admiral Chen stood before the assembled leaders, her uniform bearing the new insignia of Supreme Commander of Earth's combined forces. The Empire expects us to fortify and wait for their counterattack. Their military doctrine doesn't account for a lesser species taking offensive action. That's exactly why we must strike now. The human counter-offensive began with an operation that showcased humanity's most closely guarded technological achievement. The HFY system, Advanced Tactical Hybrid Engagement Network AI. Unlike the Empire's crude automation, HFY represented a true fusion of human intuition and artificial intelligence. Dr. Kimothy, who had helped develop HFY's cultural understanding protocols, explained its significance to the Council. The Empire relies on rigid tactical doctrine. HFY adapts and evolves strategies in real time, learning from every engagement. It doesn't think like a machine or a human. It thinks like both. They're still thinking in terms of conventional space warfare, Patel observed as her ships prepared to jump. HFY initiate Phase 1 of Operation Prometheus. What followed was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. Instead of engaging the Imperial fleet directly, human ships emerged from quantum corridors inside the shipyard's defensive perimeter. HFY had calculated exact positions where the Empire's own shield geometries created blind spots in their sensor coverage. The Imperial response was predictably rigid. They attempted to form up into standard combat formations, expecting a traditional space battle. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to ignore the basic rules of engagement. Human ships phased through solid matter, appeared in multiple places simultaneously, and struck from vectors that Imperial tacticians had deemed impossible. Director Rodriguez, coordinating the quantum field manipulations from Mars, watched with satisfaction as Imperial formations broke apart in confusion. They still don't understand. They think technology alone determines military superiority. HFY's influence on the battle became apparent as human forces adapted faster than any organic commander could have managed. When the Empire attempted to spring a trap with hidden reinforcements, HFY had already calculated the probability of such a move and prepared countermeasures. The Empire's Proxima Centauri command watched in horror as their supposedly impregnable defenses crumbled. Supreme Commander Zera Rex, who had survived the Earth debacle, found herself facing an enemy that seemed to anticipate every move before she made it. How? She demanded as another defensive line collapsed. How are they predicting our responses with such accuracy? The answer came in the form of quantum-tipped missiles that phased through the command center shields, materializing inside the structure's quantum field generators. The Empire had never considered that their fundamental defensive technology could be turned against them. As the battle reached its climax, humanity revealed another surprise. Athena hadn't just been coordinating the attack. It had been analyzing Imperial technology in real time, finding and exploiting weaknesses that even the Empire's designers hadn't known existed. Commander Patel's voice carried a note of pride as she broadcast on all frequencies. To all Imperial forces, your shipyards are now under Earth control. Your remaining ships have two options: surrender or retreat. Be advised that HFY has already plotted all possible escape vectors and prepared countermeasures. The Empire's response came in waves. First denial, then rage, and finally, shocked acceptance as they realized the true extent of their technological inferiority. Not in terms of raw power or engineering, but in the fundamental approach to warfare itself. The victory at Proxima Centauri marked a turning point in the conflict. Human forces, guided by HFY's hybrid intelligence and equipped with technology that defied Imperial understanding, began a systematic campaign across the Empire's frontier systems. Admiral Chen watched the strategic display as more Imperial strongholds fell to human forces. The Empire built its power on the assumption that technological progress followed a predictable path. They never imagined that a species might take a completely different route. Dr. Kamathi's analysis proved crucial in understanding the Empire's psychological response. They're not just losing battles, they're losing their entire worldview. Every victory we achieve challenges their fundamental beliefs about the nature of technological and cultural development. As news of the Proxima Centauri victory spread, other species under Imperial control began to take notice. The Empire's aura of invincibility had been shattered, not by brute force, but by an approach to warfare they couldn't even comprehend. The counterstrike had achieved more than just military objectives. It had demonstrated to the galaxy that humanity's strength lay not in the power of their weapons, but in their ability to think differently, to innovate in ways that their opponents couldn't predict or counter. As Imperial forces retreated from yet another defeated stronghold, Admiral Chen began preparing for the final phase of the campaign. The Empire would soon face a choice: adapt to a new reality where they weren't the supreme power in the galaxy, or continue fighting a war they now knew they couldn't win. The peace negotiations took place on neutral ground, a space station orbiting Tau Ceti, constructed specifically for this purpose using a combination of human and Imperial technology. The station itself served as a symbol of the new reality. Its quantum-reinforced halls merged the best of both civilizations' engineering traditions. Admiral Chen sat across from Supreme Commander Zirarex, their first face-to-face meeting since the war began. The Imperial leader's crystalline features reflected the starlight streaming through the station's transparent walls, her posture still proud despite recent events. "Your species," Zirarex began, her translator conveying a mix of respect and lingering confusion, "has forced us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about technological progression. In 10,000 years of expansion, we have never encountered anything like you." Dr. Kamathi, present as Earth's cultural advisor, smiled slightly. Perhaps that was the problem. You expected every species to follow the same path you did. Humanity has always excelled at finding different paths. The peace terms being discussed weren't just about territorial boundaries or reparations. They represented a fundamental shift in how the Empire would interact with other species. Humanity insisted on protections not just for themselves, but for all developing civilizations. "The galaxy is vast," Admiral Chen explained, "and evolution follows countless paths. Your Empire's mistake wasn't in building a civilization spanning thousands of systems. It was in assuming your way was the only way." Athena's presence in the negotiations, though invisible to the Imperial delegation, proved crucial. The AI system analyzed every proposal, predicting long-term consequences and suggesting modifications that would promote stability rather than just peace. Director Rodriguez, attending virtually from Mars, presented the technical aspects of the new arrangement. "We're proposing a joint development initiative. Your Empire has achieved things we haven't in certain areas, just as we've developed technologies you haven't considered. Together, we could achieve more than either of us could alone." The proposal shocked the Imperial delegation. In their long history, the Empire had never considered true collaboration with a species they had once deemed inferior. Yet the evidence of human achievement was undeniable. "Your quantum manipulation technology," one Imperial scientist admitted, "approaches space travel from an angle we never considered. And this HFY system of yours, it's not just artificial intelligence, is it? It's something more. It's a partnership," Commander Patel explained, having earned her place at the negotiating table. "HFY doesn't replace human decision-making. It enhances it, just as we're suggesting our civilizations could enhance each other." The final agreement, reached after weeks of negotiation, established new principles for galactic civilization. The Empire would maintain much of its territory, but would transition from conqueror to coordinator, helping manage trade and cultural exchange between species rather than dominating them. Earth and its colonies would serve as a counterbalance, protecting developing civilizations and ensuring the Empire adhered to the new protocols. The quantum defense network that had protected the solar system would be expanded, creating safe zones where younger species could develop without interference. "We're not asking you to dismantle your empire," Admiral Chen clarified during the final session. "We're asking you to transform it, to become something greater than a mere collection of conquered worlds." Zurarex, who had begun the war confident in imperial superiority, demonstrated remarkable adaptation. "Perhaps this is why your species has achieved so much in so little time. You don't just think differently about technology. You think differently about power itself." The signing ceremony was broadcast across both human and imperial space. The image of human and imperial leaders standing together, agreeing to forge a new path forward, became an iconic symbol of change. Dr. Kamathi's final report to the Earth Council summarized the transformation. The Empire built its power on the assumption that progress was linear, that all species would follow the same path they did. Humanity showed them that true progress comes from diversity, of thought, of approach, of evolution itself. As the first joint human-imperial research projects began, and previously suppressed species started receiving technological assistance tailored to their unique development paths, the galaxy entered a new era. The Empire learned to value difference rather than fear it, while humanity gained access to the vast knowledge accumulated over millennia of imperial expansion. Admiral Chen, watching Earth's first embassy being constructed on the imperial capital world, reflected on the journey that had brought them here. "We didn't just win a war," she told her staff. "We changed the way an entire civilization thinks about progress." The quantum arrays that had once been weapons now powered faster than light communication networks. Athena's protocols helped coordinate peaceful development across thousands of worlds. The very technologies that had won the war became tools for building a lasting peace. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't in defeating the Empire. It was in showing them a better way forward. The galaxy had learned that true strength comes not from imposing uniformity, but from embracing the endless possibilities that arise when different paths of development are allowed to flourish. As new species joined the galactic community, they found not a hierarchical empire, but a diverse coalition of civilizations, each contributing their unique perspectives and innovations. The humans' warning to not mess with Earth had evolved into something far more profound. A demonstration that the best defense isn't just superior technology or military might, but the wisdom to recognize and value different ways of thinking.